Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I'm doing a mid-year check-in video and I wasn't planning on following any specific prompts. I was planning on just having a sort of casual chat with you all, but then I saw that Nikki over at My Messy Bookshelf had posted the mid-year freakout tag, and I did one of those videos last year, and I thought actually that set of questions is really helpful for reviewing my reading midway through the year. So I'm going to copy Nikki and copy myself from last year and do the mid-year freakout tag. And I'm doing this fairly off the cuff, so apologies if I'm moving my leg. Apologies if I'm sort of thinking about things as I go along, because I haven't really thought about any of these questions. But yes, so mid-year reading check-in, general reflection. Are you ahead, behind, or on track with your reading goal? I am ahead, so I set my reading goal to be 30 books for 2025, which was a pretty conservative reading goal for me, but I didn't want to put any pressure on myself. And to date, I've read 34 books. Have your reading habits changed this year? Format, genre, frequency. I would say I'm probably reading more audio than I certainly used to a few years ago, and that trend has continued. What's one unexpected trend you've noticed in your reading? This year I've really started to enjoy romantasy, which I'd never really read before. Highlights and favorites. Favorite book you've read so far this year? It's tied currently for Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver and Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. A book that pleasantly surprised you. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I didn't think I was going to be as into it as I was, and I'm very keen to keep reading the series. A book that lived up to the hype. Probably Piranesi again, and this is because quite a few of my booktuber friends read it last year, and they all raved about it and said that it was one of the best books of 2024 for them, and it certainly is one of my favorite books of all time, so it has lived up to the hype. A favorite reread. I think the only book, the only reread that I've read for myself is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. It's one of my favorite books, so obviously it's a favorite reread. Best audio narration so far. You know what, to be honest, I can't think of the best, but I enjoyed The Bone Setter's Daughter by Amy Tan. I thought that the two narrators did a really good job. Also The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique. I can't remember her surname. I'll pop up the image on the screen, but the narrators in that book were fantastic. They really brought the culture of the Caribbean to life. Lowlights and disappointments. Most disappointing book you've read. Why Women Grow by Alice Vincent, I think was the only book that I've DNF'd this year. And I was really disappointed that it wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be about. And then a book you DNF'd and why. Well, actually that one can apply for that as well. A book you wanted to love but didn't. The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I've talked about that lots on my channel. Least favorite character you've met. I talked about this in my summer vibes tag, and it was the catechist, the priest in the settlement by Jock. What's his name? Jock Sarong. Yeah, vile person. Emotional impact, a book that made you cry. I reread Charlotte's Web this year, and the bit at the end when Charlotte dies made me cry. A book that made you laugh out loud. Okay, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything super apparent. I really found there were some bits earlier on in The Trees by Percival Everett, the characterization or like caricatures of the characters that Percival Everett created, and some of the dialogue they had was really funny. So I guess we'll go with that one. A book that felt like a hug. Okay, sorry, I had to go back and look through my notes for this one. The book you want everyone you love to read by Philippa Perry. That was all about relationships. And if we're taking a hug in the most literal sense, it is all about forming healthy relationships. So let's go with that one. It's got lots of insightful things about love. A quote that stuck with you? No idea. I really don't remember quotes, so I wouldn't even begin to answer that question. Discovery and growth, a new favorite author. That's a good question. I'm not sure at present if she's going to be a favorite author because I've only read one book by her, but I really liked Susanna Clarke's writing, Piranesi. So I am keen to read more by her, and let's put it this way, I think if her other book or books are as good as Piranesi, I could see her quickly becoming a favorite. A genre you've started exploring or want to, romantasy. A book that challenged your thinking. I read Ultra Processed People by, what's his name? Dr. Chris Van Tulleken. That's all about why we eat the ultra processed food diet that we do eat in the West, and what that does to our body and our health. A book outside your comfort zone that you enjoyed. I enjoyed some of the stories in Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana Enriquez. So that's a horror genre. It's also translated fiction. Neither of those two genres I read very often. Anticipation and TBR, most anticipated release for the rest of the year. You know what? I haven't kept up to date with new releases beyond June, so I'm gonna have to leave this one for now, and it'll just be a mental note to myself to go and have a look at what books are coming down the pipeline for the second half of the year. A book that's been on your shelf for too long. Well, I just filmed another video, and I've talked about this one. So Wilding by Isabella Tree has been on my TBR for ages. A book you must read before the year ends. I don't have to read anything before the year ends. Yeah, no, I'm not going to answer that because I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. and one series you want to finish or start by December. I don't tend to read that many series, and the ones that I am reading I'm partway through, so I'm not planning on starting any new series, and I'm not planning on completing any series by December. And then just for fun, what's the most beautiful book cover you've seen this year? I have no idea. Well, I bought I bought the book Ink. I can't remember who wrote it. And this was again in my try a chapter video, and I didn't like the book, so I DNF'd it, and I've actually just sold it on Vinted. But it was a beautiful book. I'll put a screenshot in for you. What's your favorite reading spot right now? In bed. That's where I am right now. If you can't tell, I'm awkwardly sitting. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, trying to fall asleep at night. And what's your reading mood going into the second half of the year? Pretty steady, I would say. I've had some really good literary fiction and historical fiction reads. I wouldn't say I'm reading voraciously right now. I'm just reading consistently, which is a good place to be in. Yes, so those were all of the prompts for the mid-year freakout. I hope this has served as a helpful sort of check-in for you all to watch. It's certainly been a helpful reminder to me to appreciate how many great books I have read this year, because sometimes you can get overwhelmed or sort of sucked into booktube and content creation and the kind of go of, oh, finish one, go on to the next thing. And sometimes it's nice to just sit back and reflect on and remember all of the great literature that you have read this year. And even if that's only reading one great book, then, one great book, in my opinion, is better than 1,000 duds, let's say. So yes, with that being said, I hope you are all doing well. I wish you the best of luck with your summer reading and your reading for the rest of the year. And I will see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.